Things kind of give it a few seconds to make sure everything's kind of working on my end and things of that nature. So hold on, give me a split second. Like actually a good second to let it run for a minute because it's the streams on here can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Um, but Hayden, how you doing? How things going?
I'm well. How are you? Good, good, good.
I mean, can't can't complain can't complain altogether. My one complaint would be the Bruins' recent struggles, but uh, figured you actually brought forth having a show here before the game against the San Jose Sharks. Uh, Before we go too further, what did you think of the Bruins' last game against the Golden Knights?
They were great for a period and a half.
And then it just got out of control.
Then it got a little squirrely.
It did. It's a weird spot for me because I don't really expect them to beat a team like the Vegas Golden Knights. They're just a lot better team.
Mhm.
And, I take it for how it is. It's like, as much as I hate to say it, them losing is actually kind of a good thing, especially if they're not going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Just
but
keep.
I, if you're going towards the prospect area,
Mm,
I think the best they can do is either sixth or seventh. Is the max they can get at this point without making a trade to bump up any. And after the fifth in this draft, it drops off pretty decently.
yeah. I mean, it's to me though, I'd rather just maybe you get up higher and then maybe you can trade up, right? Maybe you can make a move if there's somebody you really like in this draft class. But generally, like the higher you get, maybe you can get a steal. I mean, we've seen I would say draft classes where maybe it wasn't really looked at highly at one point, but then when kind of all the dust settles, everything clears years down the line, you get a few nice NHL level players in that draft, and maybe the Bruins could luckily get one of those guys. Maybe not a superstar, but someone decent.
I mean, if
And
if you look at it throughout the league, there's a lot of second rounders that come out and are good, very good, serviceable middle six guys.
100%,
So
100%.
first round pick is not the be all that ends all. I
No,
mean,
it no.
in this draft, the top three maybe are
Mm.
NHL caliber.
So
Maybe,
so this is where are you saying first year like NHL
yeah,
caliber? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've been seeing reports. I've been kind of because I'm actually doing this a whole NHL first round breakdown like of the prospects and where I could think they could potentially go. I think there's players with a lot of upside. I just you don't see a lot of like okay next year plug and play type players. Like how
Right.
Macklin Celebrini has come in this year and has done really well. I mean even Will Smith came in for the Sharks and done really well. Two guys we'll see tonight. So I don't think there's going to be that. But I when you look at the upside of things, when guys mature, get a little bit bigger, stronger, there's some players that could maybe turn into something, right? Maybe not a Celebrini, but steady NHL players.
Right.
Genuinely, because this is the big conversation when it comes to the Bruins and the fan base regarding drafting, and we've kind of talked about this before. Are you confident with Don Sweeney drafting? Are you
Yeah.
confident with him making the right decisions going forward? And what do you think about some of the naysayers regarding his ability to draft?
Well, unfortunately, I I get where their complaints are. We draft guys, they don't seem to work out. But if you look around the league, there's a lot of Don Sweeney's draft kids that are everyday NHL kids now. They may not
Yeah.
be here because of the system. There was a huge log jam up until last year of
Hmm.
players to be moved. I mean, what we have a 8 guy core.
Yep.
Where 8 guys have been here for the longest.
Yeah.
Um, So it's tough to move up through that. And I get like Senshin wanted to be moved because he wasn't moving up. I get that, but that's just comes with being good for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Lysell, from what I understand, has a bit of an attitude problem. Doesn't like to be coached. He likes to do his own thing. I
Ooh.
guess he's growing out of that a little bit more this year.
Right.
But he had a kind of bad rep coming out of Euro.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting kind of with Lysell because I'll put on. So like, what is his future, right? You know, Kostelic. I mean, he's got or Kastelic. He's out with an upper body injury. Lysell gets put into the roster. I don't know. I don't think he's playing tonight, or maybe
Oh,
he is. Lysell.
yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Uh, Costello went home. He's done for the rest of this road trip.
So it comes into an honest to God very interesting conversation when it comes to Lysell. He's still young, so I hate to say break it or make it right now, but at some point you got to kind of shit or get off the pot, right? Just to be very crude about it with Lysell. And like you said, he's had struggles with being coachable. I mean, his production with the P Bruins has not been great. So, do you think maybe a call up here to the Bruins and a legitimate showcase here could either A, maybe give him a little bit of pep in his step regarding his play from this point forward, or B, could help showcase him to other teams where maybe they trade him. And there's a situation you could trade maybe your first and Lysell to move up in the draft, right? Maybe not just him, but like, what do you think about this upcoming stretch for him? And do you think it's really important that he plays well?
I'm hoping he's at the point where he realizes, shit, this is it. I gotta do or don't.
Mm,
Um, he had one game up here. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't flashy. He did what he was supposed to do.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't. It just what was that like 3 months into the season, 2 3 months into the season. He had a quick stint and then played one game.
Yeah, he in that game, I liked some of the flashes I saw. I did like some of the speed. But again, it's not like it was like, oh my god, I got to keep this guy in the lineup. It's undeniable. I liked some aspects of his game. I think defensively that you can tell there's some holes there. He doesn't really necessarily have the greatest hockey IQ when it comes to the two-way side of his game, but I did like a little bit of the change in pace with him. And I'll say this, maybe with some of the new guys in the current lineup, maybe he could kind of mesh with some of the players better than what was up here before. But
Yeah,
uh, I do think at some point with Lysell, he was drafted in the first round. He has just underperformed in Providence. He's got to show me something. And I'm not saying he's got to be a point per game player, but he's got to be impactful on the ice in different ways, whether that's just hustling, whether that's, having some good chances. I need to see some type of production from him during this West Coast trip
right.
because it's
In
just
his
getting,
draft class, he started off as a top 10
yep,
going towards the draft, and then tumbled, and we got him at what 27th, something like
yep,
that. So I mean, and a lot of that was his Euro coaches didn't want him to leave, so they didn't give the best reports to scouts and stuff. But I believe it's PJ Axelson.
yep.
Is he the scout, Euro scout?
He is. He is the yep, former Bruin. Yep, BJ
Yeah,
Axelson.
he had nothing but good things to say about the kid. And he went to a lot of the games, watched him, talked with him, said he's a good kid. He actually knows how to play. He's smart on the ice. He's not very strong on the boards at times,
Right.
but he's also 5'10", 175 pounds. How
Yeah.
strong can you be? you
Yeah. I
know?
mean, you could argue players like Martin St. Louis who got into the gym and just became like tree trunks,
Yeah.
like you know, um, there's paths to make a smaller guy stronger and difficult to take off the puck. But yeah, I mean he's got his physical limitations there, and
What
to
was
me when
that?
it yeah that was my wife dropping something in the other room. When it kind of comes down to it with Lysell, I gotta see something, and it can't be. I will say like the only thing I could say maybe this changes his mentality and he buys in a bit more if he gets some NHL action. Do you think that could also be playing a part in this? That he's been kind of at the AHL level for so long that he's just getting frustrated and he's kind of
Oh, I'm sure he's frustrated seeing guys moving up, but at the same time, that's because certain needs are needed at certain points,
right.
and they needed somebody like Vinny Lettieri to come up. That's fast. That's hard on the puck.
Yep.
That's aggressive.
Yep.
Loizell, the thing about Loizell is he's not super aggressive, but when he gets the puck, good luck getting it from him.
Yeah.
He's really fast, really shifty with his hands. He can shoot,
Yeah.
but at the same time, much like Pasta, if the puck gets poked away, he's just going to stand there and go, eh,
Yeah.
So
And
he's going to
he's
get that out of his game.
and he's not as talented as Pasternak to get away with that. Like
No,
Pa-
Pasta shouldn't get away with the stand there and look around standing still either.
right, but I'm saying like there's a difference of talent there where
Yeah,
Pasternak, while it can be frustrating to watch, like he doesn't, he's an elite level point producer, whereas Lysell, I mean, he hasn't even been an elite level producer at the AHL level, you know.
right.
And does that have a concern for you? You haven't seen him produce much at the AHL level. Maybe this guy is just a bust. Maybe he just doesn't become anything. Or is there maybe an inkling that at the NHL he just tries more? I don't know. It is a little
I
bit concerning.
I see him as becoming comparable to Jake DeBrusk. Same type of guy where he's going to get 5, 6 goals really quickly and then
Cool
cool off
off.
of 15, 20 games, and then have another spurt.
Mm,
And Jake had frustration problems. He had trouble fitting in because he's an oddball. Yeah, I mean, he's a weird duck. He just didn't feel good in his own skin, I guess you'd say. His words.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, if Lysell becomes a DeBrus type, I think that's a win. I mean, sure, you probably want a little bit more consistency, but if he becomes a 20 plus goal scorer and maybe has some 40, 50
I'll,
point seasons, it's
I'll,
okay.
I'll take 15 and 15.
Yeah,
That's fine with
yeah.
me. I mean, he's
Uh,
going to be a middle bottom six guy.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
but it's another one of those deals where he's a true center, but they stuck him on wing because
yeah.
they do have a lot of centers as much as people complain. They may not be the most talented centers, but they have a lot of centers.
Yeah, they do.
So,
They do draft a lot. They do draft a lot of
you know,
centers.
but
Um, so even though the Bruins have been kind of struggling, let's talk about potential re-signs here with the Bruins. And the big one here would be Morgan Geekie, right? Like that's the guy that I think most Bruins fans would probably ride if they don't retain this man.
3 times 3.5, 3 times 4
You think that
would be
gets
my
him?
guess. That would be he wants to be here, so I think that would get him.
Because looking at it, if I can, so many ads on this website. Looking at it, like pop it up on
So
the
I think he's in
screen.
the mid to high ones right now, right?
He is. Give me a split second. If I
Oh,
can.
doesn't he? Brad
Let's,
Marchand, Brandon Carlo.
so okay. Currently for RFAs, you got Geeky Beecher. So Geeky's making 2 million right now.
Yeah, so he gets 1.5 million pay bump, but
So
they have to negotiate a long term because he's UFA the year after.
yeah.
So I
So
mean, they
yeah.
could go through arbitration, which would kind of suck, or they could just sign him for 3 years and
Yeah.
see where it goes from there.
I mean, I think Geeky, if you pay him, I wouldn't be mad at paying him like 4 mil. You know, maybe even a
That
little bit,
that would
maybe a
that would
little
be my
bit.
max.
Yeah. I mean, you like what I've seen. He's had a career year, but you also don't want to overpay too much.
He's
So
also playing on the first line with Pasta.
yeah. So
You
and
know.
to justify it, he's looked good in that. Like I
Oh
would
yeah,
argue,
absolutely.
if the Bruins had another line that could score like consistently, this roster looks a lot different. Even, well, man, still with some of the defensive injuries hasn't helped, but you know, I I like what Geeky's brought forth. I
Yeah,
really
I
have.
mean, like the old adage says, great players make really good players look really good. You
Absolutely.
know, coming in, qualified Morgan as a good player with Pasta. He's a really good player.
So another interesting one, Johnny Beecher. He's an RFA as well. What would you give him for a bump? Because he hasn't really had
Yeah,
crazy
one point two
stats.
five.
yeah, I think like the minimum bump for him would make sense. And I think
Yeah,
I think he could be a guy that you get more there offensively if you put him in the third line.
yeah, he's definitely a guy that's m- more offensive than the fourth line allows him to be.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids that does all the right stuff away from the puck. He's pretty much always in the right spot. He grinds. He's good on the forecheck. That whole fourth line's really good on the forecheck.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even the current fourth line. So, yeah, I'd bump him 3 by 125, 1.25.
And then we got Kostanidov, who we got from the Wild. I've actually liked what I've seen from him for the most part. Um,
I think it's great.
what do you think about him? Similar.
Um, yeah, he's going to get a 2 or 3 year. Let's see if you can keep this up. I mean, he's what, 24,
He's
22.
22. 22.
So you give him 3 years, he's at 25. You still get 2 years to come into his prime. His 3 years, his next contract could be pretty significant if he keeps going at this rate. He'll be wanted by a lot of teams.
Yeah, because I love the shiftiness, the hustle. Like it's, I like a lot what I see from him, and I think with we could see what happens next season. But I think he could be a nice little piece here next year for the Bruins. Training camp under a new coach with an actual system, different system put in place. Hopefully,
Yeah,
um, I think I'm not saying elite level score or anything like this, but I think this guy could maybe be a second liner in the right situation. But like ideally, if he's your third line guy with proper talent around him, I think he's a great piece to have.
yeah,
You know?
he's a low end second liner, a high end third liner
Yeah.
in the grand scheme. I've seen a number of people compare him to Kirill Kaprizov with the way he moves and sees the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just his stick handling and his awareness of who's around him kind
Yeah.
of lacks a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, he sees the ice very well. The kid can skate like a water bug. But
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I think next season, if he's third line, that's perfect for him.
yeah,
There's been some scouts, and it's interesting because when like I've been digging a lot through like scouting profiles. Some people view him going higher, maybe getting a good like high end second line guy. Other guys like good third line guy. But I think if he's just a middle six guy that you can maybe plug and play in certain spots in the second line due to injury, I think you're fine.
yeah,
But I like him. I like what he brings forth, and it's a different dynamic for this Bruins. I mean, not to knock the story, but it's nice having a guy that can skate in comparison to Brazil. I'll,
he's having such a hard time in Minnesota right now.
it's not looking well, and we talked about that on a previous show that he's got to go into a right system, and even there, it's not looking good because
No, I mean, they're faster than Boston, and they put him in a faster team.
yeah,
So
they needed to. He probably would have been better off going to a more heavy, slow paced team because he's got a skill set, but with Brazil, it's just like he's
but
not good. He's not fleet of foot.
come playoffs, setting him up on front of the net during a power play, or if you can get him down there in time, they could be useful.
Yeah. No,
So
it's true. He has his uses. Because I don't want to just I don't want to disperse. I love the story. I love how he came up from the ECHL, AHL. They signed him. I love it. So, um, but it's just kind of the reality. Now, as for any of the forwards left here, like Patrick Brown, I mean that's kind of a give or take, kind of an AHL guy.
Savant,
Um,
he's gone.
yeah, Jacob Lauko, he's an RFA. Do you bring him back? I mean, they did trade for him. You know,
Yeah, they weren't happy with moving him in the first place.
yeah.
And unfortunately, business is business. I mean, he's 24. He's going to go to 925 probably.
He's a great fourth liner, a great energy guy, and the problem with him is his health. Can he stay healthy?
Yeah,
Because I thought initially there would be a little bit more there with him offensively, and there could be some stretches where he just doesn't score. But I like what Jacob Lauko brings. I like that he came back, but I do think there's a ceiling there. I wouldn't want them to overpay, which I don't think there's no market to overpay him. But like you, maybe like 925.
925 would be what I would say for 2 years, and you can't go anything more than 2 years with him and his injury history.
No, and then you have Lethierry, and then you have Kepke. I mean, I think Lethierry is what he is. I do like some of the stuff he brings forth. I think he'd be a solid two-way guy, right? A guy that NHL, AHL guy. Maybe you can kind of rotate there. Kepke, I
Yeah,
think. Well, Don Sweeney had a statement already about the current upcoming free agents. I think Kepke was in that list of guys that like their agents need to reach out to him. Do you think that the Bruins retain either Lettieri or Kepke?
I mean, I do like Lettieri. He's 30 though, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think he is what he is. What we're seeing is what he is,
Hmm.
which is a decent NHL player. That can he's not hampering the team by any
No.
means. He's doing well. Um, it's another one of those 1 or 2 year deals with a little bit of a pay bump on a two-way contract.
Mm. Yeah.
So, but he's also a UFA, so somebody's going to pay him.
Do you think? Do you think that? Do you think the Bruins let him slide in free agency? Do you think there's another team that's like, okay, like this guy could fit a fourth line role here at a different team or third line role elsewhere from what he's showcased with Boston? Do you think the
I
market
mean,
will be there for him?
he's 30 years old. He's not really in the leadership group, as far as I
Hmm.
know. Um, he he comes to work, he does his job, he goes home, type of guy. So I don't know if it's really worth keeping the 30-year-old for an extended period
Right.
on a raise. Other teams that know they're going to be in the playoffs next year are going to need a experienced fourth line guy.
Mm.
So he's going to get paid someplace, probably a million plus.
Which would be good for him, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
he,
and then
he's he's put his time in.
what about Kepke? Do you think he's gone?
I like him. He's done really well since he's been bumped up. Um, but we're talking about all these guys we want to keep, and we still have outside free agents that are
Yeah.
going to need places to fit as well. So, um, would I keep him? Yeah, but at the right price.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
another.
he's
It's another 925 times two.
that's the thing is I think the Bruins have some guys here up front that you definitely want to like Geeky, Beecher, Kuznetsov, and you don't want to kind of fill up like you said your lineup too much with bottom six type talent, and that's not to
Yeah,
knock these guys. You want to
that's why we're at now. You
yeah.
know.
So like I would imagine Lettieri going. I think they retain Beecher and Geeky, Kuznetsov as well. I wouldn't be shocked if Lauko, well not Lauko, if Lettieri and Kepke are both gone.
Yeah, it
Even
wouldn't
though
shock me.
because Kepke I think Scott, I like some aspects of his game, 100%. But I think looking internally, there's probably some solutions they already have there, and they probably want to sign at least another one or two pieces of actual legitimate top six talent to
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I'm
make
pretty
this
sure
a.
Brown's gone for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't see Brown coming back. John, speaking of Brown, John Brown said the road ahead for the Bruins is a dead end. Um, I wouldn't say that far. I think the Bruins
Huh.
aren't as bad off as some people claim them to be. Sure, they don't have outside of that first line consistent scoring, but
They're in the
I don't
playoffs next
think
year.
I don't think Elias Lindholm. If you look at his track record, I don't think the next season's going to be as bad. I think this was a weird year, his first year in a spoked B, a bunch of turmoil. Montgomery midseason, just let's just call it what it is, quits on the team, and then you come in, you can't change the system. It doesn't even fit Elias Lindholm's style of play anyways.
Right.
I think Lindholm, there's more there. I think if you kind of get the appropriate line mates with him, you could see a better version. Now, am I saying career high Lindholm where he was like a point per game one season? No. But I think in the right situation, Lindholm could give you 50, 60 points
Yeah.
with the right line combinations. But they got to fit guys that actually mesh with his style of play. And
And what
I
do you
don't
think
see it.
his style of play is?
When I was looking kind of at the film with like the Flames and then with the Canucks, he's a little bit more run and gun when I've seen him like have those higher point seasons, like a little bit more higher, quick and go up on the rush. Whereas I've noticed with the Bruins, like they try to set him up a lot on the bumper and things. I think he can score and produce in that aspect. I just think he needs better wingers alongside of him and probably play a little bit more of a free and loose game. It just seems like, and I'd want your opinion on this. It just seems like what the current Bruin system just it does not match him at all. Like it's like trying to put a triangle in a round hole. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's like trying to put David Krejci on a really slow team.
Yeah, it just doesn't mesh. And it's, you know
You
what?
need
I will.
him to lead the rush in and then dish off and
Yeah.
get his points via assists.
And the crazy thing is, I was one of these people that I kind of underappreciated David Krejci until he left the first time. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, he's solid. And then when he left, it's like, oh wow, that's a difference. Like that's a big difference.
Yeah,
Um,
much like Carlo is going to be noticeably gone.
yeah,
You
and
know, it's
it's like genuinely, do you think Lindholm could turn things around here?
yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
and what do you think?
I understand people's gripe about his contract, and he wasn't a 60 goal guy or a 60 point guy coming in. Why did he get that much money? Well, GMs and stuff know a year or two in advance when the cap's going up.
Yeah,
You know, it's not just dropped on them the same time it's dropped on us. They have an inkling of what's happening so they can set up for the future. Um, so I get why people are irked about it. The only concern I have is the term on his contract. The money wasn't a big issue; it's a term that
yeah.
I'm a little concerned with. Can you see what he has for move clauses?
He has a no movement clause. Cannot be traded. Sent to minors. Let me click on him actually really quick. Kind of gives
Is
a
it all
full
the way
scope.
through?
Yeah, let me see. Sorry, there's a bunch of ads pop up when I change.
Yeah,
Let me see here. So, years 1 through 5, a 10 team no trade list, a 10 team trade list. Wait, no movement clause in years 1 through 5, and then year 6, 10 team no trade list, and then a 10 team no trade list in year 7. So 6 and 7 in that deal. So from year 6 on, there's like a 10 team
it's
trade
not
list.
terrible. It's not
Yeah,
great, but it's not terrible.
yeah. The only caveat I'd have with a guy like Lindholm is he's 30.
Yeah,
That deal might not age great, but I think I do think there's more there. I don't. I just genuinely think that next season, depending on who they can bring in here to help him along, I think you could see a few years of good play. I
yeah,
don't think it's just going to be a complete black hole that a lot of people are imagining. Sure, I agree with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of the term. I think the price wise though that people kind of get fixated on, it's like that's what happens in free agency. You're in a bargaining situation against other teams. You're trying to make it so it's a destination to come to, and let's just call it what it is, man. If the Bruins did not get Elias Lindholm and Zadorov last season,
it
fans would
would
have
have been
been
pissed.
they would have been complaining either way, right?
Yeah.
Like they would have been
Why'd you
complaining
go
either
for the
way.
third best option? Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's always and what's going up, Jet? Appreciate you popping in. Um, it's always been a thing though. Like you can't, you can never make fans completely happy, and that's fan is short for fanatic, so I understand that. But when I look at the Lindholm in kind of the middle stat deal, I think the middle stat deal with the cap going up makes it look even better. Um,
Oh yeah, that
but
equates to just around 4 million.
yeah, so I think that's a good piece. And Middlestat, I think, is a player that for whatever reason, showcased some talent in Buffalo. In Colorado, it just didn't work. And
He
I mean,
needs
not,
a he needs more of a grinding team. Excuse me. He needs more
yeah,
of a grinding team, and Colorado's that run and gun style.
yeah.
That's just not him.
No, and I think I like what I've seen from Middlestat. I think he's got
So
a nice
far,
little. Yeah, I mean, am I saying he's going to be a number one center? No, but for the price point, he's just around Charlie Coyle's price point. I think he's for what the Bruins need, and especially getting younger. I think it's comparable.
he's an
You know,
offensive upside from Coyle,
yeah,
but he's kind of they swap defense for offense
yeah.
with between those two, which is fine. They needed more offense, and he seems to fit in. He seems to be having fun. So
Um, Before getting into more recent, just says, "Do you think the Bruins should just tank for better picks?" I don't believe in tanking. I don't. And players don't believe in tanking. Now I will say this: I don't think they have to tank. I don't think that has to happen. I don't think the Bruins have a bunch of talent, especially with the injuries that have happened on the back end. So I think they can lose a lot of games just regardless. But
if you listen to Zadorov and a couple of and Geeky, there's no way they're tanking. They
no,
just their words and their demeanor. It's not something they believe in, and they're not going to do it.
no, there's just too much pride. There's too much pride as a professional athlete with a lot of these guys that
Mm-hmm.
they're not just going to tank and like so they can get a higher draft pick because they don't care. Like, oh, screw that draft pick.
Yeah,
I think personally, and I think we both think. I don't know actually what your thought is. The Bruins losing out, it's a good thing. Get a higher draft pick, that's fine, right? Now, I'll admit I'll still watch the games, kind of wanting them to win, obviously. But if they lose, I'm not really upset because they move up. But unless the Bruins make a significant trade where they can get up in this draft, it's you probably won't even see this prospect for like 3-4 years. I think that'd be safe to
um,
say.
depending on if they just pick the top 6 or 7, which right now is like either the second or third defenseman in the draft.
Yeah,
It's probably 4 plus 3 to 5 years,
yeah. So it'll
most
be
likely.
interesting.
I mean, Providence, they just signed a kid to Providence yesterday. Gallagher, I think.
Oh yeah, Gallagher. Yep.
He's got potential to make some rumblings next year.
Which is good.
He's actually good. Straight out of college, he's got a possibility of making the team.
Um, which I think would be kind of good. It'd be definitely good if
Yeah,
he can kind of hit. And kind of going into the defense, there's really is no upcoming.
Yerky,
Oh,
Yoki.
I,
They have to
I.
sign him.
What's that?
They need to sign him.
You want him to sign Yokiharu?
He's a right-handed shooter. He's done very well on the power play.
Yeah, but what's his ass though at UFA?
Um, he's 25 now. He's making 3.1. So with his numbers and stats and stuff, maybe 4, maybe.
So this is where it gets interesting because let me click on Yokiharu, kind of show. Hopefully, it shows the actual just the Bruin statistics.
But he also comes across as the guy that wants to be at a place where he feels good, you know. So I
I mean,
mean,
he's got 1.6 games. I
yeah, but what's his
it's
plus minus?
it's
Can't
doesn't
see it
pop up.
there.
Hold on, let me pull up
No.
stats here. Plus minus. Wait, why is it not showing the plus minus? This is why I don't usually use this website for statistics. It
Yeah,
shows
it's fine.
Corsi and all that stuff of that nature.
I mean,
Um,
he's probably getting killed on it because of the past because of the Vegas game.
well, it's I'm not really Yokiharu. I could take it or leave it. I just he's
Yeah.
not a guy. He's not a guy that I'm like, oh, they really need to sign like crazy. Um,
Well, I mean, it's tough because I mean They don't. Who else are they going to put there? Keep Mitchell? Eh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't think he gets. He's not getting a job. He's been pulled tonight for Callahan.
No, I don't think.
So
I think Mitchell's going to be one of these guys that becomes more of a seventh defenseman at best, and probably more of an AHL guy elsewhere.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I like Waterspoon. Um, he's got a little bit of Grizzly in him. He can move the puck. He can skate,
mm.
but he doesn't seem to see the ice very well at times.
No, I
Like
don't. I
he panics.
He's a poor man Grizzly.
Yeah,
Like he's a he's a Dollar General Grizzly. Like it's just and it's like so because
listen
I
to
look
us
at
calling pro players dollar store people.
I think so. Witherspoon, I don't mind. I think he's fine enough. When I look at this decor, especially with McAvoy and Lindholm out, and that's most teams when they lose their two best defensemen, the decor doesn't look great. So I'll take
Yeah,
that with a grain of salt. Um, Hampus, I'm more worried about Hampus long term. That's a genuine concern for me. Like,
yeah.
will
We talked about this in the chat that they thought they fixed him, and all of a sudden they had to redo a surgery. That's not a good thing.
that's not a good thing. So I am genuinely concerned with Hampus going forward. And by the way, Tucker, appreciate you kind of popping in. But yeah, I'm gonna try to be. I'll try to do more live streams when I can. But yeah, him long term, I'm concerned about. Charlie, I think, I just don't think he was right.
Yeah, I was going
And
to say we got our answer. What was wrong with him? Because
yeah,
that's an existing ongoing issue that he was having that they just didn't recognize as being as bad as it was.
did they shut him down, right? Like for the rest of the year.
He's on IR, so I would assume so.
Yeah, because that would just make the
I
most sense. And like
yeah, I
they
don't
would
see a
not.
need for that.
They don't need to bring him back. There's no point.
No, I
So
mean, if they all of a sudden ran off 7 games and there was potential to get in the playoffs, maybe.
yeah,
But I mean, like I said before, out of the 15 games they had left when I said it, 9 of them were winnable,
yeah,
and tonight's one of them.
that is true. They are playing the San Jose Sharks. I
But
mean,
San Jose is not as bad as their record.
no,
They're a feisty team that doesn't quit.
and they have a lot of talent. I mean, they have a lot of talent on that roster, and hats off to your grid that's done work down there in San Jose and's brought in, I think, some good pieces. Kind of looking at the decor though here, I mean, you have Pete who signed through next year.
Yep.
Mason Lohrei's up as an RFA. I mean, what's his
Yeah.
pay bump
So,
gonna be? Because
well,
he's
he's an
actually
RFA, so he doesn't have much leverage.
yeah, but he's had a good point production. Is he gonna be looking for like 2 mil? Like it's
At 24, I'd probably give it to him.
and then Mitchell I think's gone. Callahan make it take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But like, when I look at this
Well,
decor and the reason why there's a lot of struggles, like I don't think Yoki Haru. I mean, he is what he is, but like Zadorov, and we might disagree with this. That's a third pairing guy to me.
second,
Pete,
third, depending on who they're playing.
Andrew Pete, kind of a similar guy. I like what he brings forth, but he's got his limitations.
Yeah.
Mason Lohrei, I think, could eventually maybe prosper into a top four guy, but I just think there's a lot of defensive,
With
just
the
defensive miscues.
with the right partner to support him,
Yeah,
he'd be fine. Wotherspoon's probably gone just because of age.
yeah,
Mitchell is they'll offer him something, but it's going to be minimal. UFA Group 6, I forget what that is.
it's like a weird. When a contract signed with a restricted free agent status, that player becomes a UFA 6 if several conditions are met. So, I genuinely don't know. Player
Yeah, I
must be
think the
25
plays.
older.
Yeah,
Okay. To be Group 6 UFA eligible, player must have played less than 80 games 3+ professional seasons. So that's interesting. Okay,
Yeah, I forgot about group sixes.
that's weird.
Um, he's
I
come
don't
in.
think.
He's done what he's supposed to do. He's been very very serviceable when he's been
Mhm.
in. I mean, just like every other defenseman, he's got his mistake here and there, but they all do. It just is what it is.
And then
Uh,
you get into an interesting part with the Bruins
eh, eh, eh.
goaltending, and okay. So I don't think you keep Corpusello. I don't see the point of keeping him, and
No,
I think for one reason and one reason alone, as I'll bring it up, is hold on. Actually, I just had it up, and I'm an idiot. Um, why does it say qualified goalies? Here we go. Let's share the screen. Uh, in Providence,
hmm
you have. Wait, why did Michael DiPietro's games get reset? That's weird. What the heck? Hold on, let me click on his actual statistics. Here we go. That was weird. That just it glitched. So in Providence, you have a guy like Michael DiPietro who's done really well. 37 games played, 2.03 goals against average, a 928 save percentage. He's one of the best goalies in the AHL right now. He is. He's and
second, I
that's
think.
yeah.
I think he's second in all the standings.
I'll even like pop it up real quick.
There's a kid that came out of nowhere. He plays for the Phantoms, maybe. No, but
So
there's a kid that came out of nowhere that's been going crazy.
so I pop it up of actually all goalies in the AHL. He's number one in goals against average. Zoom that a little bit more so it's a little easier for the viewer to see. Number one in goals against average.
Oh, he's top ranked right now. Okay.
Him and Bussy both have 4 shutouts. Save percentage, he's number one at 920. So he's the best AHL goaltender with the best goals against average and the best save percentage.
Right.
So
Wait, Devin Levi went down again?
yeah,
Oh, when
he,
did that
he
happen?
he's been down there for the most of the season there with Rochester.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Hmm,
think they can. I think they just been kind of. They just want him to develop. I think they pushed him too early, if I'm being
maybe.
honest,
Yeah.
because goaltenders can be weird. But I mean,
Yeah. Yes, we are.
D Pietro, I think would just makes the sense. And I know some Bruins fans are very hard up for Brandon Bussy, whatever you want to call him. But this year, he's actually he has bounced back. Is a
Well,
nine.
the thing with the Bussy thing is
Mm,
DiPietro was in Maine, and Bussy was Busey Bussy Brandon was doing all the work for a couple of years. Nobody knew who DiPietro was, and then once DiPietro came along, they couldn't get off the soapbox.
yeah,
It was too high to jump, so they had to
and
stick with Busey.
that's it's actually I fixed it. That's why I said one game, and for whatever reason, it went to
There we go.
20. That was weird. It went to that season, whatever. But I mean, DiPietro 2.03. That was all correct. Brandon Bussy a 2.83 goals against average, a 905 save percentage. I mean, he did get he has 4 shutouts on the season, so he has showcased the ability to shut other teams out, but the consistency hasn't been there. He has improved from the beginning of the season, Brandon Bussy, but it's just pretty much from stem to stern, DiPietro has been the better goaltender. And I mean, he played for Team Canada in juniors. He has a very good pedigree. I don't know about you. I'd be fine if they traded Corpusello and gave DiPietro a shot. I think DiPietro will be fine in a backup role.
Yeah,
And
I mean, you also got to
maybe
look at Bussy's win loss. He's a 500 goalie.
yeah.
He's only 500 at the moment. So, um, yeah, I mean, as most people know, I like Corpy. I was excited when they got him, but just he deserves better.
Do you so like Corpusello I've been kind of always lukewarm on. I think with that Kings that one stretch they got one of the Kings because he was like from Columbus. I think
He played great in there. He
He played
played.
great there, and then Ottawa, and it wasn't all him in Ottawa because there was it was a terrible fucking it was terrible for any goalie to play behind,
And then
but
he had a resurgence in Carolina
he let me see.
2 years ago, I think.
Oh, let me kind of pop up his.
Or was that Columbus where his lights out?
No, I think because I don't think he went. Hold on, I don't think he went to Carolina. So Corpusalo, he's got a sub 900 save percentage this year, which
Yeah.
it's not been great. So like, let me look. Yeah, he went. Yeah, because he went to L.A.
Okay,
So this is the
Columbus.
thing. So he was Columbus his whole career, where it was just kind of some good years, mediocre years, terrible years. That stretch in LA, he was extremely good. Even in the playoffs, he did well for him.
Yep.
He goes to Ottawa last year. He did not do well. And then in Boston this year, I mean, for what's in front of him, it's okay.
It's he's got worse in front of him now than he did in Ottawa. And
Yeah,
Ottawa was
I wouldn't
bad.
disagree, especially with the injuries. I would not disagree.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, he's going to be possibly a sacrificial lamb if they can get somebody to take him.
I think there will be teams out there that will be interested in a backup goalie, especially with the cap going up, where his contract looks even better
Yeah.
because he's making what is it, 3 mil? So
What's the
cap
little
goes up.
shield for?
The little shield is a modified no trade cost for 10 teams. So
Ah, see, there's the problem.
yeah, but I think a good team could use a backup goaltender. I mean, I look at the Oilers, right? I'll say that like I think he'd be an upgrade over Skinner or Pickard. uh, like I know that's not a high bar to send, but I think if I'm the Oilers, I'd be interested in Corpusalo because he's shown in the Western Conference, the LA Kings, like in the right situation, he can stay some games, and he stole the Bruins the point the other was a game or two ago. He stole them a
Yep.
point, so I think in the right situation, Corpusalo could definitely fetch some interest. Do I think the return's going to be crazy? No, because you got really nothing of substance for Olmark or what you should have gotten, but you know, I think the Bruins have made their bet with Jeremy Swayman, whether you hate it or love it. They signed that deal. I don't see any team really being interested in Swayman unless it's they're really desperate for goaltending. But I think Swayman's here, so I think it'd probably be in the best interest of the Bruins. You get Swayman, you call it DiPietro, give him a decent contract, nothing crazy, because he's not proven at the NHL level, and you kind of save a little bit of money there. So maybe you can sign a piece or two.
Yeah, but I think they're going to have to retain on Corpusalo probably 25%. So,
You think so? You think even with the cap going up
yeah,
and his price kind of,
depends on where he's going.
I maybe they retain a little bit, but I don't know. I think there could be a team out there that's like looking at Corpusalo and they saw that run with the not the Knights, excuse me, the Kings, and they're like, maybe here we could get that Corpusalo. And I mean, even behind kind of a bad Bruins team, he's had some really good games. So,
You mean he put effort in? Oh, we don't want to go there. Hmm.
um, so I mean, there's that, and I don't know. I like, I don't know. Me and you were both fans of DiPietro, so I will admit I'm a little bit biased on that. I just he showed me everything I need to see, and I think he could do good at the NHL level.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting what they do between those two. So,
Um, Kind of going into it, and Brown's Jet says Swayman is better than him. I'm a Swayman fanboy,
oh, well, Jet,
as you
they
know.
have counseling for that.
I listen. I'm hoping Swayman returns. I'm
I
hoping he
hope he
comes back.
wins the Vezina next year.
Yeah,
I'll be fine.
I'm hoping he comes back to form next year and just kills it. That's what I'm hoping. This
Yeah,
year's
I'll be
been
fine with that.
this year's been a down year for pretty much. No, not agents. A down year for a lot of Bruins.
For
So
a lot of goalies in general.
yeah,
I mean, just Shirkin, he crapped out too.
he did.
So
Um,
free
unrestricted.
agents. Do we go after Marner, and how much would it cost?
So let me view all players.
Hmm.
God, this website is just rife with ads. It kind of pisses me off. Holy crap! It makes it like unnavigable. Let me zoom this out. Okay, so what is this? Is such a dumb setup. All right, so Mitch Marner's the big guy of this trade
Yeah.
class, right?
Yep.
So or free agent class. So do you think the Bruins would just be like, you know what? F it, full send. We're getting Mitch Marner.
Here's 12 million. What do you say?
Honestly, at this point, I if they can make some pieces happen, yeah, I would be interested. Like 12 mil. Uh,
I mean, that's half of your cap. They got 34 at the moment, I think.
yeah, it's
So
just so I would say this: you get Mitch Marner and maybe another piece up front. Do you feel like the Bruins would be right back in the thick of it in the playoff contention?
I think if they stood pat, they'd be in the playoff contention next year. To be honest with you, this team should not have the record they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the most talented team. Neither was the 2011 Bruins. You know, neither was the 2019 St. Louis Blues. You know, it doesn't always take talent to win. You know, so. But
But I
this team should be in the playoffs. I'm sorry, I digress. So, Mitch Marner plus a altering middle six. Yeah, they're definitely in the playoffs, no questions. And they have
so
the most sold jersey on the planet.
I think I think Mitch Marner. I personally think they because he grew up being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. I think he goes back there. Uh,
Well, they tried to trade him. He blocked the trade. It was supposed to be
yeah,
him going to Carolina and not Rentner.
it's.
So
I mean that's true. It's just it'd be we like I think it'd be a good upgrade for Boston personally. I think
it
it
could
would
upgrade
be.
for any team.
You know, he's a great playmaker. He can bury the puck a little bit himself. And while some people want to point out his playoff failures, which when you actually look at his playoff statistics, like sure, last year he had a little bit of down year, but like the year before that, he was like crazy
He's
over a point per game.
Yeah, he's typically like second on the team in the playoffs, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's I think that can be a little bit overstated, and I think with the Maple Leafs, it's just an overall curse of failure in the playoffs, anyways. But it's I think Mitch Marner, if the Bruins could get him, I think it'd be smart. It's just how much do you want to pay?
Yeah, I mean
And
he's going to be 12 plus easily,
and if 12
and at
month if
27, you're looking at a 7 year deal.
yeah, so at
So
35, around
yeah,
35 at the end of that deal. So pretty much through his prime,
yeah,
um, which isn't the worst thing, but
it's the Bruins though. He could break a leg on the first shift.
oh, dude, don't say that. I mean, there's other agents, free agents. They're interesting free agents. I mean, Ehlers of Winnipeg. I imagine they'll probably figure something out with him.
Yeah,
Uh,
they have to with him.
Michael Granlund, who was from San Jose, got traded to Dallas. I imagine he probably sticks in Dallas, but
Yeah, he's fit in there very well.
you could bring back fan favorite Ryan Donato.
Oh, everybody loved him. I hated him.
Yeah, I know I hated him too. So
But,
I don't think he's a 50 plus point scorer. I think it's a product of what the teams he's at right now.
I mean, you get Brock Nelson at 2 years.
I mean, you got Nelson, and then there's also the rumor of Brad Marchand coming back, which
You got to.
I I would see hard. I would see very. I would be very shocked if Brad Marchand came back as a Bruin.
There's got to be a lot of family counseling done before you even consider it. I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean and just when the reports coming out that they gave him like what he was making, Like what does he want?
Hmm.
Then there's
Well, he
Sam
wants
Bennett.
seven
Go
and a
ahead.
half. That's what he wanted.
Which I mean, I mean, yeah, it's just I love
Anyways,
Marshawn, but yeah. But another intriguing guy here is Sam Bennett. I mean, he's making 4.425 in Florida. What would you want to pay him if he was a? Would you want Sam Bennett on this roster?
anybody would want Sam Bennett on their roster. And anybody that says no is a liar or just doesn't know what they're talking about. One of the two. Um, I mean, with the new $1 million, 5.5.
Mm. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that. Like I think I like Sam Bennett the player. He's like that player like Marshawn. You hate him when you're playing against him, but you love him when he's
Yep.
on your team.
Yeah,
And I think he's a jam guy that could be great for this team. But do I think he
he's
solves the offensive woes? No.
no, but he opens up the ice for some of those guys because
True.
people will think twice about taking runs at pasta and stuff.
True.
He's that guy Greg Hutt was talking about today. He may
Yeah.
not be a captain. Greg Hutt asked the question today on in our group, who should be the captain? Remember, this person should be someone that could drag you in the fight, drag you out of the fight, and carry you after the fight.
Yeah.
I think Bennett does all those things. So as a player, yeah, absolutely, I'd take him. If he's
Um,
anything over five, no, you can't.
another another intriguing player to me would be Brock Besser. I wouldn't want to overpay with him though because of his injury history.
What's it? It's 6.5 now.
6.5, 6.65.
Uh,
So I don't. He has 22 goals, 21 assists for 43 points.
see, 30,
He
28,
is he
29.
is 28 years old.
Oh gosh, he's just going to keep breaking and breaking and breaking.
Yeah, that's why like he's an intriguing
So
player because I think offensively there's more there, but it's just I don't know. It's just there's his body will hold up,
yeah, I
and
mean, athletes in general, once things start breaking down, they just start keep breaking down because you're overcompensating for one injury, putting stress on someplace else, creating another injury.
yeah,
So especially in hockey and football, it's mainly where that happens. But basketball, you stub your toe, you're out for a month, whatever.
do,
Um,
do you think that I mean another interesting conversation is Matt Grizzlick's a free agent? Do they bring him back?
I'm not sure he'd want to come back.
I don't think so either.
Nah, I think he was pretty happy to get out of here.
Yeah. And you think that's mainly due to the fans?
Um, yeah, and he wasn't treated the best by a coach or two.
Yeah.
So Corey Perry,
Yeah, I mean,
Yanni,
yeah, yep, Gord, Yanni Gord.
he's
Couldn't,
33. I didn't
yeah,
think he was that old.
yeah, he's getting up there. He's getting long in the tooth. We can
Um,
bring Justin Brazil back. I mean, like there's, here like this free agent class isn't really super top heavy. It's just some depth
I
pieces.
Yeah, but I'd want to be 30 years and under on the ages,
Yeah,
so you can
I
at
think.
least get 5 years out of guys.
So like for there it would be Mitch Marner, Ehlers is 29. You got Ryan Donato's 28. I mean,
I mean,
we're both
Granlund
not.
at 33, I'd probably go with 33 would be okay-ish.
Sam Bennett 28. I mean,
Yeah, you got to be able to get if you're going for it, you have to be able to get a 5 year deal where you know that they're still going to be in an age where they can get out of bed in the morning.
yeah, and
You
that's
know, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody. That's just the reality of it.
so. What kind of? I mean, yeah. For me, I think with the free agents, it's like Mitch Marner would be the gem,
Mm-hmm.
but if you do that, if you're the Bruins, right? Let's just kind of go there. You do that with the Bruins.
You get Marner, and then you get a top six wing.
You're
and
gonna
then you're
have to
pretty
like if you
much
get
done.
Marner in another top six wing, I think then you make. Does it show the
And
year's next cap? Actually, that would be kind of more important than this year's.
um,
Because there's also 1.3 comes off the book because of Mike Riley. It's finally done.
right,
Same with Marchand, Frederick, Carlo. We retained 615,000 for this year,
3
next
years.
year. So that's, but like we get some what about four, five, 5.2, 5.3 coming off the
Yeah,
books. And then it kind of depends with how the Hampus situation plays out injury wise. It will be interesting to see what they do here. If they could make it work, because the cat's supposed to go up what 10 mil,
something like that. Yeah.
so they can make it work. I think they could make that work with Marner if
What's
they
a
really
what do
wanted to.
you pull up projected for next year
Let's see cap
if you
projections.
can?
25.
Oh, that's your
So
cap
project
jumps.
yeah it jumps to 95. So
Yeah.
projected cap would be 27 mil next year.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
that's with
Last I
all.
looked, it was 34 million.
So I don't know if this is accounting.
RFAs maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if that's accounting everything,
Okay.
but I think, but still around 27 mil. You
What are we at?
give
105, then 104, and
and then
113.
113, and that's if this happens. Like this is projected. This they could just stay pat, but if it
No,
does
it's
go
going
up,
to happen.
it's gonna happen. But if it, I mean, then that could make the Marner deal look better and better, right?
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I don't know if you get Marner under 13 and a half, though. That's the thing.
but I hate to say it this way. I think it's probably for the best because, like, if you think about it, if you could get a guy like Marner, I think you probably get a better version of Lindholm. I'd have to really look at the film again and see if they stylistically could match up. But I think Marner would bring out the best in a lot of his teammates.
Hmm.
Um,
Is he a
actually,
problem child, though?
I don't. It's hard to tell. So it's hard to tell with Toronto. Can I just be honest? It's hard to tell with the Toronto media if someone's a problem child or if the fan base is just whiny. It's hard for me to like have that fair criticism because there's a lot of quote unquote problem childs that have left Toronto and have done perfectly fine elsewhere, right? So I don't.
So it could just be Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Matthews was a sleeper agent for Team Canada in the Four Nations with how he left McDavid open the slot. I'm just saying. But but I think I mean, we'll see. But I think his talent is there. If you had a team with Pasternak and Marner, and then you could add another top six wing, and then I think Lindholm, you probably get the best version of him, right? And you make that cap hit actually make sense for him.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of where my headspace is at. Is that if you could get Marner and then get another top six guy, I think we probably have some solutions in house that would be fine. Because if the Bruins had Marner and another top six wing, let's say just for the sake of like a guy like Granlund or whatever, for example, right? Maybe like you
Hmm.
pay 4 to 7, whatever the million is. Do you feel like this Bruins roster would be playoff bound easily?
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of comes down to that. Do you think that that type of addition makes it so that the Bruins are back in the playoffs and then you can kind of hit on some certain pieces? You don't have to trade draft capital for a trade, right? You can keep your draft picks, you can keep trying to hit. Maybe it's an
Honestly,
expensive buy-in, but
I think Marner alone puts you back in contention, to be honest with you.
I agree.
Because then you get two full solid lines.
It's it would give the Bruins the much needed secondary scoring that they
Hmm.
really clamor to have, and it would allow. I just it would I think you get the best version of Elias Lindholm. If you, I think Marner makes all his talent, his teammates better around him,
Yep.
and then you're not panicking like, oh, we got to get a center, we got to get a center. Maybe then the solution is just in house. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because Lindholm would be more of like maybe a secondary assist type guy, but he's a solid. He wins faceoffs. He's solid defensively. If he has two wingers that can provide a lot of the offense, and he's just there where he can like he's not hampering anything, I think you have a great top six. And then the Bruins with some of the pieces they already have, I think they're right back in the thick of it. Mind you, you're hoping if Swayman can kind of return to form next year and the decore's not in shambles with injuries, I think
You
they're
know,
probably. I think they're back in that top three conversation in the Atlantic.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I've crapped on uh, what's his face, Swayman, quite a bit this year, and that's only because if you want to have a big talk, you better be able to walk,
Yeah,
and he hasn't walked this year at all. You know, his positioning on the short side has been horrific.
it's it makes me.
So
I think with Swayman, I don't think it's the training camp missing thing because that's an overstated thing. I think personally, the team in front of him does not look great, but I do think it snowballed on him. He had that little stretch where he kind of turned things around and then it kind of just he fell right back off the wagon. I think this season just snowballed on him. And
mm,
goaltenders can have off seasons. We have seen that.
yeah,
Like goalies can have some really bad seasons and then boom, next year he's back in that Vesna conversation or top 10 conversation, which I'm hoping for personally.
yeah.
And I don't know, maybe, you know, would you want the Bruins to make any additions defensively? Or do you think that we already kind of have those answers in house?
It's tough because you get a couple of kids coming through training camp, and a couple of kids that there's a kid down in Providence that's really good. I forget his name right now though. He's a big fella too.
Mm-hmm.
He plays for the Friars. He's either a junior or a senior. He might be a senior this year. Um, so he's big and good. I believe I think he's a Russian kid.
Let me see.
Um, the kid, like I said earlier, the kid that they just signed yesterday has potential to make the team out of camp. He's very much like McAvoy, skill wise. Um,
And
he's like 6'5", 6'6", something like that.
Ty Gallagher? Is it Ty Gallagher or is it Chris Ortiz? Let's see.
It might be Gallagher.
Sorry, I'm on the AHL website right now. Let me kind of.
Oh no, I meant Providence Friars.
Oh, the Friars. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
Providence
see.
Friars hockey.
Because I was just curious if.
I won't give the roster.
Interesting. Um,
Roster. Here we go. Phillips Fedback. Nope, he's a goalie. Uh,
let's see. Actually, you know what? We'll have it is the lead prospects. Let me kind of go through that. Teams. Okay. It's fed back. Yep, he's Bruins asset. Yeah, so that's the
he's
goalie.
good too. He's good.
Yeah.
Unless they moved him and I didn't realize it.
No, he's still.
No, I meant the defenseman I was talking about. Yeah, they must have moved him and I didn't realize it.
So it's fed back to
Or he's in
Providence.
Providence. Who knows? Yeah, Phillips
Uh,
Fedback's actually really good.
signed in the fourth round, 2021. Kind of looking at statistics. This year for Providence College, 915 save percentage, 14 7 and 4 record, 2.236 goals against average. I mean, yeah, he's been carrying a lot of the load there at
Yeah.
Providence. So that's a Good goalie, 22.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad. That's not a bad little piece there to get.
Oh God, people going off on the Jeremy Jacobs ranked number 18th worst owner, or whatever that was today.
Oh,
Ah,
actually, let's you know what? Quick, Jeremy Jacobs. Let's do this real quick then, before we kind of wrap things up. Jeremy Jacobs thoughts. What do you think of him as an owner?
we've been in the playoff for 18 years.
Mm.
Spends to the cap. Um, has faith in his people. What's it not to like? I mean, sure, during the COVID thing. Oh, can I say COVID without getting us banned?
No, you'll be fine. It's way too late in the show for that to matter.
Okay. What's it, 30 seconds in?
Yeah, it's like
Can't say
three
fuck or
minutes in.
something.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to start the next show with the C word.
So
Um, I mean, he screwed up by not paying his people, maybe, but at the end of the day, it's a business. He's a businessman. He's might be an owner of a sports team, but it's not his primary business.
so
So
I mean, I think with Jacobs, I could understand some of the frustration. I'll actually let me share this on screen.
I'm not even sure how long he's owned the team.
So this is the from the Athletic, the 32 ranking. So Tampa Bay Lightning, Jeff Finnick, A+ rating, majority owner since 2010. I mean, okay, cool. I mean, understandable. Um, then you go down number two, Vincent Viola. Which
But
that
if
this is interesting, right? So can I just say that this is interesting? Like he's definitely done a massive improvement with the Panthers in comparison to the old ownership that I remember when I was at the academy. I was down in Florida to for training, and I was able to go to like a Florida Panthers game and like get a hot dog, beer for like $5. Like it was crazy. The before he took over.
yeah, but the
Um,
place is also a dump.
yeah, it's Florida's nice to live in though, but I think this is
Yeah.
definitely a recency
No, I
bias.
meant the arena in the beginning was a
Oh yeah,
dump.
it was a dump, 100%.
So
Um, Foley for the Vegas Gold. That is okay. So like, okay, can we just be real? Him, considering what how they've treated some of the players, and they just like, I'm surprised it's that high.
well, if you look, I would have to say this is based off the past 4 years
Okay,
because so far the top three have been top three teams in the league
that's
or
just
close to it. I bet Colorado's next.
probably right. Dallas.
Okay, same difference
I mean,
from nothing to something.
and then you have St. Louis.
Really?
That's weird.
That's interesting. Well, he did steal Monty, did
Yeah,
tamper with Monty and get him over there. So
that's and then
that's another topic.
Washington. Okay,
Um, yeah, I can see that.
Washington, Colorado. I mean, they've been successful for the most throughout Kroenke, even though he doesn't have. Isn't he the
Notice
same
it.
guy that owns an NFL franchise that didn't go too well?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
he did some bad stuff.
yeah. So that's interesting. Smith.
Utah,
Um,
Utah Mammoth.
Utah Mammoth.
That's what they seem. That's the uh, copyright they extended.
That's kind of a shitty name. I don't know, but
It's gonna have a cool elephant. Whatever.
true. Tom Dundon,
Yeah,
Carolina.
all these are all top 10 teams in the past 3 5 years.
Yeah, and then you got Minnesota
So,
Wild.
yep, can see that.
So, so I'll just kind of go through this quick. Montreal 12th, Jets 14th. Which I mean, I think the Jets fans love it because they have hockey again. San Jose Sharks. I'm actually kind of surprised them being so high.
I guess he's very good to the fan base. He's really, really good to the players. Um, people love being there, even though they suck. People like playing in San Jose.
Yeah, the team just sucks.
So,
Well, I think they'll turn around. Predators Holdings LLC.
yeah,
Okay.
That
That's
surprises me.
um,
Well, actually, no. From what I understand, that's a hell of a fun time to go to.
Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Yeah, I mean,
Top
yeah.
six, it hasn't done it. The original six, it hasn't done anything in a few years.
And then you got Jeremy.
Jeremy,
I
since
okay.
1975.
So
Jeez.
willingness to spend 29, organizational stability 22.
What?
What? Treatment of fan base 27,
Hold on.
franchise vision.
Time out. I'm back to the first one that we read off. Willingness to spend. They spend to the cap every year. That doesn't make any sense. Um,
That's
it
that's
doesn't
stupid.
seem right.
So this is a fan base evaluation. So listen, I'm just gonna say it. The Bruins fans are just miserable fucks because literally
Apparently,
it makes no fucking sense. They spend to the cap. They spend some years over the cap where oh my god,
they have a top rate
organizational
facility.
stability. Organizational stability when they have been playoff contenders. I mean, when they've been in the playoffs every single year, and some years have been favorites to win it, they have no stability. That makes no fucking sense.
Same front office. How long has Donnie and Cam been there? 20 years?
And treatment of the fan base. What are they going out bag and flogging the fans? Like, what do you
No,
mean
they
treatments of
raised the
the?
tickets $5 a piece this year, for next
Oh,
year. You know, cost to keep the lights on. That whole thing.
franchise. Oh my god.
Yeah, confidence in the owner.
Higher is 0%. Same 42, lower 58.
I need to know where this came from. I know it's the Athletic, but they go ask the homeless guy on the corner for his opinion. What?
So, fan perspective, Jacobs will be always loyal, always spend to the cap ceiling. Wait, so if he that negates that point
Hmm.
of 29 willingness to spend. What are you talking about then?
They must have done this after the Marchand trade.
Will always spend to the ceiling, but is fiercely loyal to management that will never accountable. Let's face it, successful. I, oh my god, this is actually pissing me off. Jacobs teams are productive, but cost to a game boss is not worth the price. In the they need to hire an executive
This
that isn't.
this has to be done over the past week.
Dude,
Has to.
dude, this is what they need to hire an executive that is not a former player. We need to hire a nerd in the front office. Who the fuck says that?
He went to Harvard. He is a nerd. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
Yo, Bruins fans are so fucking stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. That makes no sense. That list makes no sense. This legitimately makes me just
It completely
baffled,
contradicts itself.
dude. So okay, so he
And even at
spends to the
18th,
cap.
he's a B.
He spends to the cap ceiling, but he doesn't spend enough. So what? You
Right.
want him just to mysteriously spend over the cap and still be cap compliant? Like, make fucking sense. That makes
Right.
no sense. Organizational stability. The Bruins have been one of the most stable organizations. What, the last 15, 20 years?
Regular season ranked first since he's owned it.
Oh my
Playoffs are
god.
ranked fifth since he's owned it. Yeah, so what? One Stanley Cup. Big deal.
Like, one Stanley Cup's a bad thing. Sure, you can complain about the Bruins maybe not winning another one, right? They lose in 2013. They lost against the Blues. I get that. But let's
Yeah.
be honest. There's franchises like the Toronto Maple Leafs that haven't won since 67.
Yep.
And there's franchises that have never won a Stanley Cup.
When's the
And
last
you've had,
time Toronto was actually in the Stanley Cup Finals?
oh my God, years, like decades.
67.
Yeah, like, I don't know off the top of my head legitimately. So I don't know. I think,
I'll find out for you. Hold on.
yeah, like this has to be the most brain dead rating I've ever seen. Like, did they just get people that were right off the street drunk for this type? Like, who says I want to get a nerd instead of a former player? First off, that's dumb. Like, it's just dumb because we've seen nerds like Kyle Dubas put teams in cap hell. It's I don't know, man. This whole athletic thing is a joke. Right, like majority owner since 1975. Regular season rank first. Playoffs wins rank fifth. Stanley Cups won. As a Bruins fan, how fucking spoiled are you that you think this ownership is that bad? And you can have like complaints like, oh, he never goes to see games, he never does this. Does he spend the money? And do they try to bring people in? Yes or no? Oh, your stuff's buzzing like crazy.
Me?
Yeah, it's like buzzing like crazy.
Not me.
That was weird. No, it stopped there. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing past the 90s or before the 90s. I mean, after the 90s. Yeah, that's just, again, I've said it 3 times now. That had to have been a poll that was taken like last week. It's the only possible way.
so 1967 was actually last time they were in a Stanley Cup final.
It's the last time they won, obviously.
I just Googled it. So the last time they were in,
In the finals?
yeah,
That's
that's what it says. That's Google, so I don't know if that'd be correct, but
a shame.
I,
But yet they're ranked higher. That's
dude,
cool.
I'm completely taken aback by that ranking. That's crazy.
Yep. No loyalty. Don't want to spend money. They're cheap. You know,
Oh my god, I'm curious. Who's the worst?
they won't do a full rebuild because they don't want to. They won't do that to the fans, quote unquote.
Who's the worst in this list?
It's gonna be Philly.
Sabres. I mean that.
Yeah,
I
that
mean
makes a lot of sense.
that could make sense. Yeah, like that's like
And
that. I could.
what's the biggest jump after that though? Is who? Who's before that?
Vancouver Canucks.
Um, yeah, yeah. From what I
I could
understand, they're
definitely
not a
see
very
them
good
being.
franchise.
I think it could be bad. Um, and
But
then
these are also people that burnt their own town down because they lost a game. So who knows?
yeah, I mean, I think I saw enough for the day with that. That's so I can understand people being upset with, fine, letting go of Marshawn, fine, whatever. But to say that there's no stability, they don't like, and the quote itself contradicted itself, right? Like, oh, they don't spend enough, willingness to spend, but yet they spend to the cap ceiling every year. That makes right, you know
Zero
what I mean?
cents.
That makes zero sense.
Yep.
So
And
I
this is
definitely think I got somebody that was like drunk to do these lists. There's no
and
way.
people are confused why other fan bases in the league hate us
Yeah, it's so
because of dumb
entitled.
shit like that.
It's such a massive amount of entitlement. It's crazy.
So
I mean, it's and like I'm not trying to be a big like Jeremy Jacobs fanboy here. I'm just like I've had my criticisms of the man, but to sit here and say that he doesn't spend money is insane.
oh, it's
Sure,
dumb.
the tickets are expensive. Sure, I will fully complain about that, but that's
But
just the going
are
price.
they really compared to,
I
you
mean,
know?
if you look at New York Ranger tickets, those are stupid expensive. You look at Toronto Maple Leaf tickets; those are stupid expensive. Like it's expensive. Now overall, I think it stinks. You can't really take a family to a game anymore. It's too pricey. But
Yeah, but I
but
mean,
that's just how things are now.
Toronto just did a 25% increase yesterday, 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and all hell broke loose. Meanwhile, Boston raised their prices like $5 a ticket, and everybody was ready to jump off the Tobin.
ready to pop a Yui on the mice, but mass spike and rage.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just people get spicy over the dumbest things.
before before we get out of here, what do you think about the Providence Bruins dropping 10 on the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins?
Uh, I do love the good Scranton Penguins game.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Scranton?
No.
Have you ever been to Newark, New Jersey?
Yes.
Same place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Scranton's not the nicest place in the world. Um, it's interesting because Scranton's not that bad. They're a decent team. It just one of those bad nights that every goalie or a couple of goalies has. Yeah, I say it on the page all the time that a snowflake can start an avalanche.
That's true.
Sometimes it just gets out of control, and as much as you chase, you never catching up.
No, it's just
So
it was funny seeing that because I saw the Facebook post. I think it was like up 7-1 or something, like going into the third. And they had three more. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
yeah, I thought I had seen 7-1 in the first, but it might have been going into the third. But
Yeah,
still,
that's.
I mean, are those empty netters at that point?
I would punch my coach. I would punch my coach if they pulled the goalie. I'd be like, dude,
That'd be
what?
funny.
You know,
And I have a question. What's this new thing with pulling goalies at 4 minutes?
I don't know. I'd have to look
That's
into. It's
a
probably
league
some.
thing.
It's some probably analytics that showcases that you have more time with another man on, that you could have more probability to score. But I think it's so dumb because it genuinely gives the other team more chance to throw it down the ice and score as well.
I mean,
Uh,
Patrick Waugh was like legendary for doing it with 2 minutes left. Now all of a sudden it's like 3 and 4 minutes, and it's like, what the hell?
dude, I saw it in
I
the
get,
I saw
I
it in the
get when
game.
it's 2 goals, but
Yeah, I saw it in the game. Actually, it was an Islanders game where it was like a few games ago, or like maybe a few weeks ago. It was like they pulled the goalie with 10 minutes left in the third,
mhm.
and I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's a little early, and didn't really pan out for him. But I'm a little bit. I can understand trying different things and seeing how things go, but it does. I think at times it gets coaches can kind of get a little too cute, you know.
Did you see Buffalo score on themselves the other night?
I did. I did. And that is why they're ranked 32nd in that list. Holy shit. Um,
Yep. So close this up. Lizelle needs to show up and play, not get
yeah.
frustrated. Just Sacco said he's just going to let him play his game. He's not going to really hold him to the structure of the team, which at
Okay.
this point they don't have a structure. So,
No, they
um,
don't.
so Callahan drawing in over Mitchell is an upgrade. I like
Yep.
that. I've liked Callahan when he's been in. You
Yeah, I
know,
think he's been serviceable.
he's a
You
tall
know.
kid, good length, good stick reach. He's been fine. Um, but with Lizelle, it's got to be more than one game. It has to be. You know, they gave Georgie 3 games.
They did.
He played good for 1.5, and then he fell apart.
He did.
So, you know, I get people wanting to see the young kids come up and play, but there's certain times, like right now, Providence is in going for a Calder Cup.
Yeah.
So they don't want guys coming up getting hurt and all that stuff. That's fine. Build the team down low. Let them win a championship down there and go from there. Because playoff experience down there will be playoff experience for up here at some
Yeah.
point. That's fine and
And
good. So,
I also think that like before we get out of here, it's I will mention this Oliver Wallstrom, and mind you, did get a hat trick one of these games, but 9 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists for 10 points.
yep,
He's looked pretty good down there, and
1.15 points a game.
Fraser Minton, he's had he had a natural hat trick. He's looked pretty good with the Bruins. So
Yeah,
you know,
they said he's got a motor. Him and Kusi have motors that don't stop.
which is good
So Minton will definitely be up next year.
because
Um,
I'll just say in 26 games played with the Marlies, he had 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points. With the P Bruins, and it's mind you, it's only 5 games, and he had a hat trick in one. 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points. He's a point per game player.
hmm,
So do I think that stays? Probably not. But he's 6'2". He's got a motor. He could be a very good third line guy. You know,
yeah,
you never
that's
know.
just him and Kusi are both designated, quote unquote, as ceiling of a high end third line players.
Yeah,
So who
And
knows?
I mean, I think that if they both have high motors together, that could be a fun line to watch next year. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
I think I saw Lysell was going to be with Lindholm and Kusi,
that should
so
be
that actually
interesting.
could be fun.
I'm hoping they
'Cause
play well together.
right there, It's going to be a run and gun line. Like, and we'll see what Lindholm looks like with that. Like we were talking about.
Yeah, I'm just hoping Lindholm hasn't completely mentally checked out. You know. So
No, I don't think he had. He doesn't seem to be that type of guy.
no, but you know what I mean. Sometimes when
Yeah.
it's been a long season, it's been frustrating. You're just not going to play to your usual capabilities.
Well,
So
they're still not mathematically out of it.
yeah, but they would have to go on a run here, like a really,
They
really
win
good
the
run.
nine. They win the 9 games they should, and they get a little help. They're in it. They're only 5 points out. I think. I don't know what happened today.
Actually, I'll
Let's
double
find out.
check before I get out of here. It's in the wild card they are 69. They are 5 points back. So
It's 2 wins and a tie.
yeah, but still, but considering games like let's say the other teams win, they're about
Well,
nine
yeah,
points. They're nine
they
points.
need. They obviously need help, but
Yeah.
I mean,
So that should be interesting to see for sure. But hey man, I appreciate you coming on here. It was fun.
thanks for having me. I enjoy this.
Me too. We definitely
Um,
do. So
do we want to tease what we got in the works?
yeah, sure go ahead.
We hopefully, if it's still on, we're going to have NHL a journey to the NHL through a parent's perspective.
Mm,
Um, so that should be a pretty good talk.
absolutely.
Be
I'm
interesting to see what that's about.
I'm really excited about that. That's gonna be a lot of fun to have to do that
Yeah,
video.
yeah. A couple of things to work out. We had to come up with some verified questions that are approved, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So if you
So
guys enjoyed this and you want to see that coming soon, or relatively soon, within next year, just make sure to make sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, thanks for coming on, Hayden. And if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.
see you guys.